Hello and good evening, everybody, and I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's episode. And as you see from your screen and the title of the video, I am going to do another episode of Face Off, and I thought it might be a pretty good idea tonight to compare two of the big powerhouses of the 70s, and that would be Queen versus Pink Floyd. Now, why again am I comparing these two artists? Well, once again, they were very big in the 70s. They've had a lot of hits that have come on the radio continuously. They both have very fanatical fan bases, and they also have very similar discographies. They actually both have the same number of albums, so things just kind of clicked right into place. Now, if you think this is not a legitimate comparison, well, I'm sorry, but it is what I did, and I explained why I did it, so you're going to just take that for what it is. So anyways, again, the way that this game works is I am going to be comparing, first of all, the first album, the debut album from both artists. I am going to explain which one I think is better, and I am going to give that artist a point. Then I compare the second album from each artist, explain which one I think is better, and then that artist will get a point. And I'm going to keep going until I get to the very final round. It's going to be 15 rounds this time, and whoever has accumulated the most points is the winner, so there you go. So I have a lot to cover tonight, so I'm not going to waste any more time. So this is going to be round number one. We have the album Queen by Queen versus Paper at the Gates of Dawn by Pink Floyd. And I just gotta come out and say it. Queen came out swinging right out of the gate, okay? This is a very fast, a very hard-rocking rock album, and I really do love the Queen debut album. Keep Yourself Alive, what an opener. You know, it's like dun 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 dun, and then the band just keeps coming in progressively, and it's hard and it's heavy. I love it. Doing All Right is a song that kind of flip-flops between being very soft and being very heavy, and I think it's a very good contrast and everything, and I do like Doing All Right. The Great King Rat, what am I saying, is also very good. Okay, it's got kind of a staccato feel going for it, but great song. My Fairy King is great. Liar is a very momentous anthem. It's a very fast song as well. And I was like, liar, liar. The Night Comes Down, Modern Times Rock and Roll, all great. And Modern Times Rock and Roll was actually sung by drummer Roger Taylor, of all things, but he did take lead vocals on every album he was on. But basically, the big highlight, the big centerpiece of this album is definitely Jesus. It's a little bit slower than what it may have come before it, but it's got a punch to it. It's got some aggression behind it, and it's so heavy, so raw, which is what I really love. Seven Seas of Rye, this is actually the incomplete version. The completed version would actually appear on another album, but it's really more of a piano doodle, but it's really good for what it is and everything. But yeah, like I said, the Queen debut album, it is a straightforward rock album, and that's what I really love about this. Queen would later kind of dive and delve into some other genres, and they had moderate success with that, at least in my opinion, but this was back when they were raw, they were dirty, and I really love this album. Piper at the Gates of Dawn is also pretty solid as well. Now, this would be the one and only album where founding member and guitarist Syd Barrett would have a dominating presence on it because he did sing the majority of the songs on here. We have Astronomy Dummy. I think I said that correctly. I've never really known how to pronounce that. Oh well. Anyways, it's a great opener. It kind of fades in a little bit. I mean, you can kind of hear what sounds like a space shuttle in the background. Very interesting approach, but it keeps moving in and fading in and fading in. And it's got some pretty heavy guitar work, all things considered. So yeah, I love that one. Lucifer Sam is pretty fast. I love it. I mean, again, it's pretty heavy, and it's got a very good rhythm, and it flows very well. I love Lucifer Sam. Matilda Mother's also good. So is Flaming. Take up thy stethoscope and walk, I love. But really, the big highlight from Piper at the Gates of Dawn is definitely Interstellar Overdrive. This is an instrumental. It goes for about 9 minutes or so, but it is fast. It's like, no, 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 no. And it goes and it meanders through all these different segments, all these different sections, these movements, but they work so incredibly well together. This thing is fast, this thing is heavy, and it's definitely an overlooked classic. Now, the remainder of side 2 is kind of hit and miss. This is really where Syd Barrett kind of takes center stage, and it's pretty bizarre, actually. The gnome is very bizarre. So is Scarecrow. But really, guys, the album closer, Bike. We've all heard it. We all sang it as kids, you know. I got a bike. You can ride it if you like. It's got a basket that rings and things that make it look good. I think I said that incorrectly, but I tried. But yeah, totally ridiculous song. Very, very silly song. But, you know, it's kind of funny, actually. But to be honest, guys, I love Piper at the Gates of Dawn. I really do. It's one of my favorite Pink Floyd albums, but it is no contest to the debut Queen album. The debut Queen album was more consistent. It was faster. It was heavier. I think the music was more well-written. So I am going to give round number 1 to Queen. So we have 1 round for Queen, and Pink Floyd has yet to score a point. But maybe things will pick up for them in round 2, because we have Queen 2 versus A Saucerful of Secrets. Now, Queen 2, believe it or not, is a huge improvement over Queen 1. And that's really saying something, because I really love Queen 1, or just Queen. It starts off with Procession, which sounds more like a funeral march, but then it segues very well into Father to Son. And Father to Son is actually kind of a slow song, but it's also really heavy. And just like before, it's the kind of thing that just keeps building and building and building upon itself. And man, Brian May has got an incredible guitar solo in the middle. Very underrated, and I think that it's a Queen song that a lot of people aren't even very well aware of. It's great. I love it. White Queen as it began is kind of a ballad, but it's a good ballad. It's heavy, and it's dark, and it's haunting. Love it. Someday, One Day is actually sung by Brian May. Man, rhymes. So, okay. But yeah, it's another acoustic ballad, but it works so well. And strong songwriting is really backing up a lot of this music very, very well. Love the Loser in the End. That one's sung by Roger Taylor. And so I think I actually talked about this in one of my episodes of Album Rant. I have reviewed this album before. We have 2 sides of the album. The first side includes all the stuff that Roger Taylor and Brian May wrote, and the second side includes all the stuff that Freddie Mercury wrote. And normally, I gotta say, the stuff written by Freddie Mercury, I tend to not gravitate towards as much as maybe the other members, but he really comes through on this one, because Ogre Battle is awesome. It is so fast, and I love it. The Fairy Feller's Master Stroke. Yes, that is the name of a song. Kind of flamboyant there, but it's all right. Nevermore is a piano ballad, but really, the March of the Black Queen is freaking amazing. I love that song, okay? It is such an epic beast of a song, and it's just amazing. Funny How Love is a little bit poppy, but it's all right. But then we have the completed version of 7 Seas of Rye, and it's amazing. Starts off with the piano, but the guitar comes in, and it just never lets up. It's such a fast, epic rocker. I love it. Well, coincidentally, I have also reviewed A Saucerful of Secrets, and I love this album as well also. Let There Be More Light is great. So is Remember a Day. These songs are, you know, they're definitely soft. They're definitely very psychedelic in nature, but they're well written, and that really goes a long way. And Strong songwriting really backs up this album very well. I love Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. This sounds like a song that one may have written while baked, but either way, it's very, very mellow, but man, it's dark and it's haunting. I love Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. Corporal Clegg is pretty ridiculous, but really the big centerpiece on this one is the title track, A Saucerful of Secrets. If ever anything sounded like an LSD trip, it is this one. It's a 12-minute instrumental broken up into 3 different movements, and man, it is just so incredibly insane that I love it. It reminds me a lot of the wormhole scene in 2001: A Space Odyssey. I really think that would have been a great song to play over that little sequence. Seesaw is another pretty mellow, pretty soft song, but again, strong songwriting. Then we have Jug Band Blues, which is kind of the counterpart to Bike on this album, and it's the one and only song that is sung by Syd Barrett. This would be the last album he ever appeared on, and it's, again, pretty crazy number, but I really do like it. And I have talked about it extensively in that episode of Album Rant. But, you know, I have spoken very, very highly about A Saucerful of Secrets, but it is no Queen 2. Queen 2 absolutely rocks. A Saucerful of Secrets has a little bit of awkwardness in it, and so Queen is going to win this round. So 2 rounds for Queen and none for Pink Floyd. So let's move on to round number 3. We have the third album by both artists, Shear Heart Attack by Queen, and the soundtrack to the film More by Pink Floyd. One thing I forgot to mention, both of these artists have done 2 albums each that were soundtracks to some film, and this would be the first one right here. It's the soundtrack to a French film that I have never seen, and I have little to no intention of ever seeing it. But anyway, Sheer Heart Attack is also comes off very strong. Brighton Rock, I have talked about before on this channel. It is a great opener. It starts off and it sounds like it's the sound effects of a city or a carnival or something. It's kind of weird, but then that very slick guitar starts moving in and fading in, and this is a very aggressive rocker. It's a very heavy rocker, and again, strong songwriting really backs it up. I love Brighton Rock. Killer Queen really sounds more like vaudeville music, and I've never been a huge fan of that one, but Tenement Funster is very dark. Love it. And the next 3 songs kind of go together. They all fade into each other. We have Flick of the Wrist, which is actually sung by Roger Taylor, and Lily of the Valley. But where things really start to pick up is Now I'm Here. This is an anthem, and from what I understand, Queen often opens up their concerts with Now I'm Here. I really love Now I'm Here. It's very fast and very heavy and so anthemic. And The Lap of the Gods kind of not quite my favorite, but I do love Stone Cold Crazy. This is really the birth of speed metal. Yes, this song is borderline heavy metal, and it is very fast. It's very thrashy, and it's no surprise at all that Metallica actually did do a cover of this one. Dear Friends is a piano ballad. Misfire is an acoustic song. Bring Back That Leroy Brown it sounds more like banjo music of all things. But I do like She Makes Me, Stormtrooper and Stilettos. I do like that one. And it closes out the album pretty well. So you can probably tell by this point, Queen is really starting to diversify on this album. They're starting to tap into other genres, which has mixed results, at least in my opinion. So let's see what Pink Floyd has going on over here. By this point, whoa, this is upside down. By this point, Syd Barrett is out of the band. He had a complete and total meltdown. David Gilmour came in on the previous album, A Saucerful of Secrets, and he is now going to become a more prominent member. But anyways, this is a very psychedelic album. A lot of these songs are instrumentals that are really just intended to set the mood of things, and there are some highlights here. The Nile song is absolutely crazy. It is probably the heaviest song that Pink Floyd has ever done, and Wikipedia actually does classify it as heavy metal. That's right. Wikipedia classifies a Pink Floyd song as heavy metal. I really, really love it, okay? But some other highlights on here. We have Up the Khyber. I think that's how you say it. It's track 4. It is a psychedelic instrumental. It's pretty heavy, actually, okay? Party Sequence, which is track number 7. It's an instrumental as well. It actually kind of sounds like bongos, of all things. It's quite creative. I do like it. We have the main theme. The main theme is right there, track 8. And it's another very psychedelic instrumental, and it reminded me a lot of A Saucerful of Secrets. I am probably going to mispronounce this. Really, they said this word in The Dark Knight Rises, one of my favorite movies ever, and actually someone said it incorrectly and had to be corrected. I can't even remember how to pronounce it, but I'm going to do my best. Ibiza Bar. I think I said that correctly. It's another pretty heavy song. I do like it. And then also we have Quicksilver, which is another highlight. It's also very, very psychedelic. And so again, really, I think the point of this album was to set the mood for whatever this film was. And it's a very novel approach and everything, but more, while I do think it has its merits, Sheer Heart Attack definitely beats it. So that is going to give us 3 rounds for Queen and 0 rounds for Pink Floyd. So let's update the scoreboard. There we go. So let's see what round number 4 has to bring us. We have the 4th album by both artists. We have A Night at the Opera by Queen versus, how do you say this? Ummagumma by Pink Floyd. I think I said that correctly. Ummagumma is actually a double album, but I'll get to that in a second. Let's see what A Night at the Opera has for us. Death on Two Legs. Great opener. I talked about this on one of my episodes of Album Rant, actually, on the Live Killers review. They are actually basically saying, quote unquote, by the way, viewer discretion advised. I usually don't say this. Fuck you to one of their managers, I believe. It's a pretty heavy opener. I mean, it does start off with the piano, but it really comes in after that. The whole band comes in, and I really love Death on Two Legs. Very catchy also. But again, just like before, this album is really going to start delving into other genres, and it's really hit and miss. Relaxing on a Sunday afternoon, I am not too big of a fan of. It's a piano song, but I do like I'm in Love with My Car. That is the song Roger Taylor sang and wrote. You're My Best Friend is an absolute classic. Comes on the radio all the time. John Deacon wrote that one. It's very catchy. I like it. 39 is folk music. It's a folk song. Brian May actually sings it. I actually really like that one. 39 is so catchy. It's got the emotional kick behind it, and Brian May is not as bad of a lead vocalist as some may think, but of course his true talent lies in the guitar. Sweet Lady is heavy. Love it. Seaside Rendezvous, not so much, but the centerpiece from this album is definitely the Prophet song. It goes for about 8 minutes or so. It is heavy. It is moving. It's got a very good beat to it. I love the Prophet song. And then in the middle, for about 2 minutes or so, Freddie just goes off the rails. I am going to do this the best I can. I am so sorry if I don't do it well. It's like, and now, and now, and now, and now. It sounds kind of like that. I think I did that all right. But yeah, he goes on like that for about 2 minutes or so. It's kind of crazy, but you know, it's creative. I'll give it that. Love of My Life is a ballad. Good Company is actually, again, sung by Brian May, actually. He plays the ukulele on it. May not be my style of music, but it's creative for all it's worth. Guys, you know my opinion on Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm not going to say too much more about it, but it does close out very well with the cover of God Save the Queen. Now, Ummagumma, as I said, is a double album. It is broken up into a live album and a studio album. Now, the live album was on the original release, so it's being counted. So I just want to get that out of the way. And the live album is fantastic, okay? It is a great performance. It's very moody. It's got a very psychedelic atmosphere again, which is what they were going for. But we have a very good version of Astronomy Domine. Careful with that Axe Eugene. Wow, okay? This is another one that builds up, but like there comes a point where it just takes off and goes really fast. I love it. Set the Controls to the Heart of the Sun. I already spoke very highly about that song. Live version is just as good, and of course it's expanded and they jam a little bit more. Then we have another version of A Saucerful of Secrets. I loved it on A Saucerful of Secrets, and I love it just as much as Ummagumma. Now, the studio album. Unfortunately, this is where things kind of fall apart. Pink Floyd became a very, very individualistic band back then, and so we have basically 4 different segments of the studio album, and each member kind of primarily wrote each segment. We have Syphilis. Did I say that right? I don't know. It's broken up into 4 parts, and this was Richard Wright's big contribution. I'm not a big fan. Grantchester meadows and several species of small furry animals gathered together in a cave and grooving with a pit. That was Roger Waters' contributions. I'm not going to say the title of track 6 again, but it's pretty stupid. Grantchester Meadows is acoustic. It's not bad. The Narrow Ways, which was David Gilmour's contribution, that's probably the best that the studio album gets. And the Grand Vizier's Garden Party, written by Nick Mason, not so much either. A lot of these guys, they don't really feel like actual songs. They feel like a compilation of sound effects. So really, we have 2 different parts of Ummagumma. One is very good, but it's just a live album. And the other part is a studio album, which I'm not too big of a fan of. Yeah, A Night at the Opera, even though I don't think it's quite as good as the 3 albums that came before it, it's better than Ummagumma, okay? Queen is going to win this round, and so we now have 4 rounds for Queen and 0 rounds for Pink Floyd. So let's move on to round number 5. We have A Day at the Races by Queen versus Adam Heartmother by Pink Floyd. Now, I heard this review when I first started getting into Queen about A Day at the Races. As far as this album goes, it really matters how you like your Queen. If you like your Queen being hard rocking and metallic and fast and heavy and almost heavy metal, you are not going to like this album. If you like your Queen very soft and progressive and operatic, you're probably going to like this album a lot. Well, guys, I am more of a fan of the former, okay? I like my Queen to be very fast and very heavy and very metallic, so A Day at the Races is not quite my favorite. However, it does include my all-time favorite Queen track, which is Tie Your Mother Down. This one has a very swinging, bluesy rhythm to it, and I really, really love it. Okay? It's probably Queen's heaviest song, or at least one of their heaviest songs. It's well written, it's fast, it's grooving, it's got kind of a bluesy feel to it. I love it. Unfortunately, the rest of the album doesn't quite do it for me. I do not like You Take My Breath Away. Freddie, again, is trying to be an opera singer. Long Away is decent. Not great, but decent. I do not like The Millionaire Waltz. I do not like You and I. This is going to be a very, very unpopular opinion. I have never liked Somebody to Love. It feels more like gospel music. And again, Freddie's doing all these weird things with his voice, which sometimes can work. It does not work right here, okay? I have never liked this song. It's too soft, it's too artsy, and I just think it's annoying. Good Old-Fashioned White Man is written by Brian May, and this, again, is one of the highlights, but it's not nearly as good as Tie Your Mother Down, and it's not nearly good enough to save this album. Good Old-Fashioned Lover Boy, not too big of a fan of. Drowse, neither. Don't like that one either. But we have Chio Turiati, Let Us Cling Together. I think I said that correctly. It's kind of a big, bombastic, emotional closer, and it's okay. So overall, the album is okay, but it does, like I said, have my very favorite Queen song. Adam Hart Mother, on the other hand, we don't have a track list here. Do we have one in here? Ooh, this is embarrassing. Yes, we have one right here, okay? Well, we have the first song. We have the Adam Hart Mother Suite, which is a compilation of a whole bunch of different movements. You can see it's broken up into 6 different parts. I'm not a big fan of it, okay? We got kind of a horn section in there, and it's very dark, like I said. It does kind of have a good atmosphere, but not really my favorite. What's the next song? And what's up with all the cow symbolism here? Ugh. Okay, here we go. Here's the second song, If. This one is purely acoustic. Not necessarily a bad thing, but some pretty weak songwriting here, and it's not really doing it for me. We have Summer 68. Again, a very soft song, a very melodic song, and it does kind of pick up at the end, so I will give it that. Fat Old Son, probably the best song on here. Probably the one with the most punch and kick to it. It's decent, I'll give it that. Then the last one is Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast. I have no idea what the point of this is. Someone out there probably knows the deep symbolism and is probably going to tell me that I'm an idiot, and that I just don't get it, and that I don't know what I'm talking about, and that's perfectly fine. Go ahead and get on your little rant there, but it just seems like random sound effects to me. Don't like Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast. So, yeah, much like Ummagumma, Adam Hart Mother kind of struggles, in my opinion. The band hadn't really found their niche yet. And A Day at the Races is actually going to beat Adam Hart Mother. If Tie Your Mother Down had not been on A Day at the Races, I might go the other way, actually, but it is On a Day at the Races, and it's my favorite Queen song ever. Queen is going to win round number 5. So we have 5 rounds for Queen and 0 rounds for Pink Floyd. So let's go to the next one. We have News of the World versus Meddle. Now, News of the World has those 2 songs that we all heard as kids because we were big fans of the Mighty Ducks. We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. I am flat out sick of We Are the Champions. We Will Rock You, I'm also kind of sick of that one, but it does have one very strong moment. That ending guitar solo. Brian May is incredible with that ending guitar solo. And my big complaint is this: it's too short. The song had me. The song gripped me, and then it just ends and goes straight into We Are the Champions. Yeah. Sheer Heart Attack is great, though. I don't know why it's not on the album Sheer Heart Attack, but it's on this one. At least we got it. It's great. This one was written by Roger Taylor. It is fast. It is heavy. And it's borderline heavy metal. It's almost speed metal, which I love. All Dead is kind of artsy. So is Spread Your Wings. Fight from the Inside is not bad. I do kind of like Get Down, Make Love. Sleeping on the Sidewalk sounds, again, more like vaudeville music. But probably the best song on here is going to be It's Late. This one was written by Brian May, and it starts out kind of soft, nice little guitar intro and everything, but it picks up, and it has got such a heavy kick and punch to it. I love It's Late. It's heavy, it's aggressive, Freddie is on point. I love his vocalization on it. Brian May, I actually think, is the best songwriter in this band. It's Late is another very underrated Queen song, and I think everyone should hear it. My Melancholy Blues as well, kind of a bluesy outro. Not much to say there. But we have Meddle, and I have also reviewed this one on Album Rant before. This is where Pink Floyd really started to come into their own here. We have One of These Days, a great instrumental. It's got a very good bass kick behind it, and it starts Again, we have a lot of buildup on this song, but when it finally explodes and gets kicking, it never lets up, and it's also one of the more heavy Pink Floyd songs. Pillow of Winds is great. I love Fearless. Same thing with San Tropez. Seamus is actually about a dog, apparently. I like it. But really, guys, the big centerpiece here is going to be Echoes. Echoes is 23 minutes. It takes up the entire second side of the record. This was originally released on record. And it's amazing. It starts out very, very mellow and very melodic, but just like before, it's broken up into all these different movements, and they keep building upon each other. And in the middle, we have a very psychedelic interlude where you just think you're falling into the pits of madness, but then it all of a sudden starts picking up again. You go right back to the beginning. I have talked more extensively about it on Album Rant, and I love both of these albums. Now, which one do I like more? Well, I think when News of the World is good, it's better than Meddle, but Meddle is better, Meddle is more consistent, and overall Meddle is better. So this round is going to go to Pink Floyd. We have 5 rounds for Queen, and then 1 round for Pink Floyd. So now we come to round number 7. We have Jazz versus Obscured by Clouds. And Obscured by Clouds is another album that was written to be a soundtrack for some film that I've never seen and have no intention of seeing. Jazz opens up... this is very awkward. There we go. It opens up with Mustafa, which is a very silly song. You've really got to hear it. It starts off and Freddie Mercury's just going, oh yeah, I think I said that incorrectly, but he's got this little howl he's doing. It's quite creative, okay? It's another very fast song, but it's also very heavy. I love it. Fat Bottom Girls, I never need to hear again. Jealousy is kind of a more, haunting ballad, but it's decent. Bicycle Race is very stupid. I've never liked it. But I do like If You Can't Beat 'Em. Ooh, track 6. Let me entertain you. Let me entertain you. Great song. Very heavy. One of their heavier songs. And I really love Let Me Entertain You, okay? Dead on Time is also great. It's also very heavy, okay? Other highlights, we have Fun It. This one was sung by Roger Taylor. Leaving Home Ain't Easy. I believe that was sung by Brian May. We have Don't Stop Me Now, which is overplayed, but I'll be lying if I said I hated it. But yeah, the last song is more of that jazz. It's also sung by Roger Taylor. It's interesting, I'll say that, but it's still pretty creative, and I do actually really like it. Obscured by Clouds, unfortunately, does not quite bode as well. Again, a lot of these don't really feel like actual songs, but more movements that are all fitting into the grander picture. And some of these songs do have some kick to it, but a lot of them are just way too mellow. But I do like the title track, okay? Gets a little heavy towards the end. When You're In is good. The Gold It's In The, that's track 4. I like that one. And I do like Free 4. Free 4 is track 8. It was sung by Roger Waters. I think David Gilmour sung the majority of this album. And it's pretty upbeat. It's, got a pretty good rhythm to it. Kind of makes me feel good. I like that. But, it's no contest for Jazz. Jazz is definitely better than Obscured by Clouds, so Jazz is going to win this one. Queen is going to win this one, and we have 6 rounds for Queen and 1 round for Pink Floyd. So what's next? Round 8. We have The Game by Queen, and we have Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, and man, what a shift here. This was, in my opinion, where Queen started to fall apart, and this, in my opinion, is where Pink Floyd really started to take off. The Game. It's a definite change in direction. It's definitely a move more towards pop rock. They're really veering away from their hard edge roots, and they're really trying to embrace a sound that they probably thought at the time would get them on the radio more, and to their credit, they probably were right. Play the Game is, it really feels more like soul music. It does have some pretty good guitar at the end, but I don't know if I can give that one my endorsement. Dragon Attack is not bad. Okay, we now come to probably the big highlight from the game. Don't. We've all heard it before. Another one bites the dust. This is really more of a funk song. It's definitely not a hard rock song. It's definitely embracing some of the more popular genres around the time, and I really think I'm kind of sick of it. Crazy Little Thing Called Love, that comes on the radio a lot as well. It's an acoustic song. Rocket's not bad. Don't Try Suicide's pretty silly. I do like Sail Away Sweet Sister. Save Me. This one was actually, I believe, also written by Brian May. Pretty sure it was. It's kind of an odd composition from him because this is very much not a hard rock song. This feels like something Freddie would have written of all things. It's definitely kind of trying to be more of an emotional ballad, and also Freddie is definitely showing off his operatic influences, which I'm not too big of a fan of. However, this, like I said, is where Pink Floyd really started to come into its own. They wrote some great music on this one. We have Speak to Me and Breathe, which kind of go together. You know, breathe in the air, don't even pretend to care. I think I said that incorrectly, but I tried my best. On the Run is another very psychedelic instrumental, but Time, man. Starts off with very appropriate sound effects that resemble alarm clocks. Yes. And then after that little intro, we have a little build up until finally the song comes into its own and the first verse starts kicking in, and man, it is great. It's sung by David Gilmour and Richard Wright, and man, those vocalizations are just great. Not too big of a fan of The Great Gig in the Sky, but I do love Money, okay? Pretty fast rocker, pretty recognizable song, love it. But guys, I gotta tell you, Us and Them may be the most underrated song on here, and it may actually be my favorite. I love Us and Them. Okay, starts off again very mellow and actually has a saxophone in it. But then again, the song just has these moments where it starts building up and picking up, and David Gilmour, man, he is really on it. Then the final two songs, Brain Damage and Eclipse, they kind of go together. This is the one time Roger Waters took lead vocals on this album, and it's also very great. It's a pretty fast song, one of the more upbeat ones, but yeah, it closes things out very well, and the band is just on it. So you probably guessed by now, Dark Side of the Moon is easily going to defeat The Game. So that is going to give this round to Pink Floyd. So we have 6 rounds for Queen, 2 rounds for Pink Floyd. So let's press on. We have from Queen, the Flash Gordon soundtrack, versus from Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. Now, there are only actually 2 songs on here. We have the Flash theme, and we have The Hero. They are both great. The Hero is probably one of the heaviest Queen songs they ever recorded. I really love the Hero. It's like, do-no-no, very heavy. Unfortunately, the second half kind of loses steam a little bit, but regardless, the first half of The Hero is awesome. The Flash theme is also awesome. However, the rest of the album seems to be sound effects and clips from the Flash Gordon movie, which I'm not really all that keen on. They at least get a little bit more heavy towards the end, which I do like. I think it's the Wedding March where things start to pick up a bit, and I do like that, but you know, before, there's not a whole lot of instrumentation. It's really more just, again, quotes from the film and sound effects. And if this was shorter, I would probably have more positive things to say about it, because it does have some very definite highlights. Wish You Were Here. Do I have a track list here? No, I don't. So I got to open up. Actually, I'll just look at the CD. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, that was embarrassing. This is basically, they took the approach from Dark Side of the Moon and they just expanded on it. They stuck to their guns and they produced a very great album. There's only 5 actual tracks and actually only 4 actual songs because Shine On You Crazy Diamond is so incredibly long. There are 9 parts to it. Parts 1 through 5 make up the first track, and it's incredible. I mean, it does start off kind of mellow, and it's got kind of a synthesizer in the background, but again, it's building up to something, and then the guitar starts coming in, and eventually Roger Waters on vocals starts coming in, and it's incredible. I love it. You know, it's like, shine on you crazy diamond. I think I did that all right, but I'm sorry if that sounded awful. But Shine You Crazy Diamond, it's one of their biggest hits, and I really, really love it. So is Welcome to the Machine. That's another great song. David Gilmour actually did sing that one. But then at the second half, we have a Cigar. This is also, surprisingly, a big radio hit. It comes on the radio all the time. It was never really featured too much on their greatest hits albums, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, I mean, it's very recognizable. Roy Harper actually sings that one, believe it or not. And apparently he was just around the studio and they just grabbed him to sing the vocals. And, well, history was made because it ended up being one of their biggest hits. But of course, the biggest hit actually from this album is the title track. Down, 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 down. I think it's a tribute actually to Syd Barrett, which I do respect and everything, because they probably do wish he was here. But it is an acoustic song. It's very recognizable on the radio all the time. It is one of their all-time greatest hits. I may not be the biggest fan of acoustic numbers, but this really does hit the mark. And despite the fact that it's overplayed, I really have not gotten tired of it. And then, of course, it segues right back into the remainder of Shine On You Crazy Diamond, parts 6 through 9, and it closes it out very well. There's a great jam session at the end with parts 8 and 9, and to that, I really, really do love Wish You Were Here, and I do love Wish You Were Here a lot more than the Flash Gordon soundtrack, so this round is obviously going to go to Pink Floyd. So that brings us 6 rounds for Queen, and 3 rounds for Pink Floyd. Now, the next round is going to be round number 10. We have the 10th album from both artists. We have Hot Space by Queen, talk about setting the bar low, versus Animals by Pink Floyd. And I'm just going to be brutally honest, guys. Pink Floyd is easily going to win this round. I probably don't need to say too much more, but I'm going to. Hot Space. I think they, felt the success from Another One Bites the Dust from the previous album, from The Game, and they just ran with it, and they went too far in the other direction. They went too far in that direction, sorry. This really feels more like a dance album. It is all synth pop. I can't stand it. There are 2 highlights on this album. We have Put Out the Fire, which is the only song that even remotely resembles the old Queen. That is easily the heaviest song on here, and I do really like that one. And then, of course, we have Under Pressure, which was their big collaboration with David Bowie. Now, I don't think Under Pressure was initially supposed to be on this album, but I think it was a single that they recorded the year before in 1981, and the only thing I can assume is that they realized what a stinker they had on their hands, so they just threw Under Pressure on here, hoping that would somehow boost record sales. But yeah, this album is not good. And guys, pardon the cliche, pardon the pun, but Hot Space is a hot mess. Animals, on the other hand, is one of the greatest Pink Floyd albums ever. This also was a change in direction. This was really when Roger Waters started to take over the band, but everything on here is incredible. Pigs on the Wing Part 1, great acoustic opener. I love it. Dogs, one of their best compositions ever. Starts out acoustically, but then it explodes and it gets really fast and really heavy. Great number. Pigs, 3 different ones. Out of all these compositions, it's probably the weakest, but it's still great, Shra. And then we have Sheep. I cannot get enough of Sheep. Starts out very mellow, got some keyboards in the background, but then things start coming in and it gets very fast and it explodes right out of the gate. And it's, again, a very heavy song, a very fast song. And this is just one of those moments where everything just comes together completely. And that outro, very iconic. You know, it's love it. And then, of course, we have Pigs on the Wing Part 2, which is basically the same as the opener, just with some different lyrics. You know, not bad to hear it again. But, yeah, as I said, Animals destroys Hot Space. It was never even a question. So let's see what we have for the next one. This is round number 11. We have The Works by Queen versus The Wall by Pink Floyd. Now, The Works, I think they got the message after Hot Space because they definitely toned down the synth pop on this one. Maybe not enough, though, because Radio Gaga is the very first song, and it's, again, a synth pop song. Now, is it bad? No, okay? It's got some good vocalizations. Freddie is really knocking out of the park here, and it is catchy, I'll give it that, but it's really not my favorite. Tear It Up has definitely fallen through the cracks. This is a Brian May composition. I think it's sexual in nature, I want to say. It is heavy, it is raw, it is aggressive. I love Tear It Up. The rest of the album isn't really all that great. I do not like It's a Hard Life. I do not like Man on the Prowl. Really, the only other time that I think this album really stands out is track 8, Hammer to Fall. This is an anthem. This is a hard rock, heavy metal anthem, and I really love Hammer to Fall, okay? I'm not going to try to sing it. I would do a terrible job at that, but this and Tear It Up are really the album's big saving graces, and that is why I do actually recommend this album for those songs. The weaker ones, while they may not be quite as heavy, and they still haven't quite gotten all the synth pop out of their system, they are well written, I'll give it that. The Wall. I like this album. I don't love this album, but I like it. I am not a fanatic about it like some other people are, and that is okay. But having said that, yeah, it's still good. Love in the Flesh. The Thin Ice is great. We have Another Brick in the Wall, Part 1 and 2. I know Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2 is overplayed to death. That does not mean it's bad. Even Mother I like. I was a little freaked out over Mother the first time I heard it, but yeah, it's good. Even though it's acoustic, David Gilmour, man, he is a great vocalist, and he really sells this. Young Lust is a rocker that comes on the radio a lot. It's good as well. I do like One of My Turns, and we have Another Brick in the Wall Part 3, and it segues into Goodbye Cruel World. Yeah, pretty good Disc 1. Disc 2 starts with Hey You. I'm being honest, I am sick of that song. Is it bad? No. Am I sick of it? Absolutely. I do like Is There Anybody Out There? The next couple of songs fall flat a bit. I do not like Vera. I do not like Bring the Boys Back Home. Comfortably Numb, though. Another very overplayed song, but it's still great. I love Comfortably Numb, and man, those guitar solos after each verse, they're awesome. They're very melodic, but they're also heavy at the same time, and that may be why I like it. We have a reprise of In the Flesh, love it. Run Like Hell is also good, kind of a fast song, a more upbeat song, that's why I like it. The Trial. This is Pink Floyd and Bob Ezrin completely unhinged. Bob Ezrin, as you may know, is the longtime producer for Alice Cooper. And in every Alice Cooper album, there is a point where the album just goes off the rails. This is the moment where The Wall goes off the rails, okay? It is Roger Waters unhinged and Bob Ezrin unhinged. It's crazy. I was a little turned off by it at first when I first heard it, but now that I've heard it a lot more in my latter years, I kind of do, I can tolerate it. But yeah, The trial is the big epic conclusion, and then it fades out with Outside the Wall, which I guess he decided to tear down the wall. Tear down the wall. So which one do I like better? I like both, but I have issues with both. But yeah, the wall is better. Okay. I would say if we were going by percentage, the wall is good more often than the works is. So yeah, wall is going to win this one. Okay, so now we are in the 12th round. We're getting close to the end. We have the Highlander soundtrack, also called A Kind of Magic, versus the Final Cut. Now, I am not the biggest fan of A Kind of Magic. Much like the works, there are a few moments where the album really gets me and the album really grips me. There are a few really hard rock songs on here. One Vision is one of them, and I do love One Vision. The guitar work is a little bit polished, however. Definitely feeling that 80s kind of synthy guitar sound a little bit, if that makes any sense. So that is kind of a detriment to the album, but One Vision is pretty fast and it's pretty heavy. I like it. I have never liked A Kind of Magic. I do not like Pain is So Close to the Pleasure. No, okay? I do not like Friends Will Be Friends. It is a ballad, not good. I do not like Who Wants to Live Forever. It's too operatic, too soft. Freddie's, trying to be the center of attention way too much. Do not like that one, okay? However, I do like Gimme the Prize, which is Kurgan's theme. I don't know who that is. I've never seen Highlander, but I do like that song, Gimme the Prize. Don't Lose Your Head is another kind of synth pop album, but Princes of the Universe closes things out very well. Very heavy rocker. I just wish it was longer. Now, this is going to be a very unpopular opinion. All right, I'm just going to say this right now. I know a lot of people out there really love this album. I know a lot of people out there are like, no, it's not that bad. In fact, it's great. You just don't get it, yada, yada, yada. I can't stand the Final Cut, okay? It's unofficially a Roger Waters solo album. It's barely a Pink Floyd album. Richard Wright's not even on it. Roger Waters sings all the songs except Not Now, John. And even then, he does sing part of it, but David Gilmour sings the majority of it. I just don't know what people see in this, okay? It's way too soft. It's way too operatic. It's taken the whole rock opera thing that worked very well on the wall and just cranking it up to 11. It's not good. I'm sorry, okay? I really cannot stand When the Tigers Broke Free. I do not like the Fletcher Memorial Home. The only one that is kind of good is Not Now, John, just because it's definitely the heaviest, most upbeat song on here, but it's just too ridiculous. They're saying the F word way too much, and I get the feeling they're just doing it to be provocative. Now, while I may not like the Highlander soundtrack, A Kind of Magic that much, it mops the floor with the Final Cut, so this round goes to Queen. We now have 7 rounds for Queen and 5 rounds for Pink Floyd. And so we're getting close to the end, and it's getting close. So let's not waste any more time. We have The Miracle by Queen versus A Momentary Lapse of Reason by Pink Floyd. Now, I do think The Miracle is a little bit better than A Kind of Magic, but it's still got way too many traces of synth pop on here. Party is good, even though it's too short, okay? It is a little bit heavy, and I do like it. We have, forgive me if I mispronounced this, Kazaji's Ship. Did I say that right? It's only 2 minutes and 47 seconds, but it is one of the better songs on here. It is heavy. I do like it, okay? Not too much of a fan of The Miracle. Too much synth pop, okay? We have, yes, I Want It All, okay? Believe it or not, it does not start off with, I want it all, I want it all, and I want it now. It does not start off like that. That is actually the single version you're thinking of. It actually just starts off with a guitar intro, a guitar, interlude at the very beginning, or a guitar doodle at the very beginning. It is a good song. It's pretty heavy. I do like it, even though it is kind of overplayed. I hate The Invisible Man. I'm sorry. It sounds like it belongs on Hot Space. Can't stand it. Don't really like Breakthrough either. Okay? More operatic ballad nonsense. Rain Must Fall, which is the 7th song. It's more synth pop. No. I do not like My Baby Does Me. Was It All Worth It is the 10th song on here. This one is 5 minutes and 45 seconds. This one is actually pretty good. I do like Was It All Worth It. It's pretty good, pretty heavy mid-tempo rocker. Like it. I do like Chinese Torture as well. Chinese Torture is an instrumental. It's not very long, only 1 minute 46 seconds, but, you know, good way to close the album out. A Momentary Lapse of Reason, on the other hand, I think is a huge improvement over the final cut. Now, if the final cut was an unofficial Roger Waters solo album, well, you have a point to be made by calling this a David Gilmour solo album, but technically they are both Pink Floyd albums. But Roger Waters is out of the band. It's just David Gilmour, Richard Wright, and Nick Mason. And Learning to Fly, I really love that one. It's a ballad, but it's got just the emotional kick it's trying to convey. I really love Learning to Fly, I do. The Dogs of War is kind of slow, kind of brooding, but it's heavy, okay? On the Turning Away is another ballad. You might think that's a turnoff. It isn't. Because again, it's a very powerful ballad. It's got a lot of guitar on it. It's also heavy. I love it. The Closer, Sorrow. Again, one of the heaviest songs they ever did. That intro, the guitar goes on for like 2 minutes or so. It's like, do-no, do-no-no, do-no-no. It's great. I love it. And then the song kicks in and it's powerful. It's emotional and it really never lets up, and it does elicit the feeling that it's going for. A Momentary Lapse of Reason is going to defeat The Miracle. So we have 6 rounds for Pink Floyd and 7 rounds for Queen. I know that A Momentary Lapse of Reason has some haters out there. I get it. I happen to really like it. So now we come to round 14. We have Innuendo versus The Division Bell. Now, this is the actual last Queen album before Freddie Mercury's untimely and tragic death. So let's be respectful, everybody. But this one, it's an improvement over The Miracle. I did not like The Miracle or A Kind of Magic too much. I like this one a lot better, okay? Innuendo, the title track, is a very good dark opening rocker. I love it. I'm Going Slightly Mad is kind of dark, but it's also crazy. Then we have Headlong, dun, 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 dun. Very fast rocker, very heavy. I also love Headlong. However, they did not fully ditch the synth pop because I Can't Live Without You is another synthy poppy song. Don't Try So Hard, that is track number 5. It's a ballad. Freddie is going back into his opera nonsense. I have never been a fan of it. All God's People, track 7, is very reminiscent of Somebody to Love. It's more gospel music, or more gospel rock, if that's a thing. Not really that great. These Are the Days of Our Lives. Not very keen on that one either. Neither do I like Delilah, but The Hitman. The Hitman is the best song on here. I would say out of the past 3 albums, Hitman or The Hitman is the heaviest song they did out of that era. I love it. It's fast, it's hard rocking, it's heavy. It's returning back to their hard rock roots, which I really, really love. Bijou is more of an instrumental. It's not that great, but The Show Must Go On is a pretty heavy closer, which I do like. However, The Division Bell, right here. The Division Bell also kind of harkens back to the early days. This really feels more like the Saucerful of Secrets or the Moore era or the Ummagumma era. Also maybe Adam Hartmother, which, you know, was kind of hit and miss for me, but I think this is a more consistent album. Innuendo to me was either very good or very bad, and so it kind of averaged out in the middle. the Division Bell is, like I said, more consistent, and it does have some very definite highlights, okay? Cluster 1 is a pretty good instrumental opener. I do love What Do You Want From Me. Pulls Apart is like 7 minutes or so. It's a pretty good song, okay? Flows pretty well, great rhythm and everything. Maroon is like a 5-minute instrumental. It's kind of mellow, but again, it feels a lot more like their old stuff, okay? What else do we have? We have Take It Back. Another pretty good rocker, kind of emotional. I like it. Keep Talking is one of the more upbeat songs, but really the big emotional closer is High Hopes. I really do love High Hopes. One of the better Pink Floyd songs, and definitely one of the best ones from this album. This was a very, very close call for me, and I just really had to go with my gut, and it's the Division Bell. The Division Bell is going to defeat Innuendo by a very tiny margin. It is, but the Division Bell, I think, is better. Ask me another day, it might be Innuendo, but tonight I am going with the Division Bell. So it really just comes down to this. We have 7 rounds for Queen and 7 rounds for Pink Floyd. We have Made in Heaven by Queen versus Endless River by Pink Floyd. Now, I probably do need to cut Queen some slack because this was recorded after Freddie Mercury's tragic death. This was released in 1995, and he had been dead for a few years. And they had some leftover vocalizations that Freddie had recorded. And so they took those vocalizations and they recorded, the bass, the guitar, and the drums to it, and they completed it. And I think that is a great way to honor Freddie's memory. Freddie Mercury's memory. And so I really do need to cut them some slack here. This is kind of like the Rise of Skywalker, how they dealt with Princess Leia. Carrie Fisher had died a few years before the Rise of Skywalker came out. So they used unused footage of her from the previous movie, and they did some CGI, and they basically took the lines she had recorded and matched it up to a CGI model of the actress, and they wrote the scenes around that dialogue. So that's kind of like what they did here. Now, the thing is this, I am judging these albums based on the merits, and there are a few highlights from Made in Heaven. I do like the title track, okay? The title track is track number 2. I do like that. Freddie is definitely taking over the song, but it is a little bit heavy, which I do like. Let Me Live is the 3rd song. It's an okay ballad. I Was Born to Love You, right there, okay? It's a little bit fast, kind of a rocker, but still very polished. The guitar work, it definitely does... It's not as metallic as some of their early stuff, and that's definitely a very significant detriment. So again, like I said, the rest of the album really isn't all that great. I understand what they had to work with, but I'm judging the album based off the music, and I really do not reach for this one that much. Endless River, on the other hand, this was released in 2014. So we've had 19 years of gap between this and the Division Bell. No, 20 years of gap. Yeah, that sounds about right. This one is mostly instrumental. In fact, it is all instrumental except for the last song, Louder Than Words. The one song that has lyrics is called Louder Than Words. Okay. This, again, as I said, is kind of harkening back to their early days, where they basically just had these different movements, and they just progressed from one movement to the next. It is pretty mellow, but it's well written, I'll say that. I really found myself enjoying this one a lot more than I thought I would. The different compositions, they've got a good kick behind it. They got a good punch behind it. They got strong writing supporting it. And the one song that has actual lyrics louder than words, it's good, okay? So, yes, it looks like right here that Louder Than Words is actually going to defeat Made in Heaven. Pink Floyd is going to win this round, and they just narrowly squeaked by. Pink Floyd is the winner with 8 rounds, and Queen came in second place with 7 rounds. Now, let me be clear. I like both of these artists. It was a very close call. I like them both about evenly, but in terms of the configurations of this game, Pink Floyd is going to come out the winner. And I want to thank you all very much for joining me tonight. Had a lot of fun doing this episode. Anyways, well, school is out next week, so we're definitely going to do something special for that. But until then, have a very pleasant evening.